Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are glad to have everyone joining us for what will be an interesting and informative program, and I'm excited about this. I'm excited about all the ones that I've done, but each one is unique and different and brings, I think, important and good information to the community. So thank you for joining us. My first guest is the executive director of the Waterfowl Festival, which is coming up in a week.
Oh my goodness.
Margaret Enlow North. And thank you for being here, Margaret. I know how extremely busy you are, so taking the time just to get some questions answered. And
thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. So let's start. Waterfowl is very cool. I've always found it wonderful and exciting and engaging. What are you most excited about with this year's festival?
Well, I think the first thing to say is I'm excited that it's happening.
Yes.
Yes. That's it. It feels like I've been waiting 18 months for this to happen, and maybe even a little bit longer, because of course it's our 50th anniversary, and we've been planning for some time. We started thinking about it probably before 2019. So it's the culmination of a lot of years of work and a lot of what was the word of 2020? Pivot. A lot of need to change directions and figure out new things. So I'm excited that it's happening. But on a more specific note, I personally cannot wait to see our featured sculpture by Bart Walter. It is this incredible, innovative bronze that's cantilevered. So it comes out this way, and it's got 2 geese taking off and 3 canvasbacks in the water. And what's so unusual about it is that actually you can kind of see in the bronze a cross section of the water and what's happening below the waves.
Oh, neat.
So he named it Wind and Waves because that really is the feeling you get from it. Despite the waterfowl that are in it, you can literally feel the wind and waves. So when it comes in, it's 6 feet long. I think it's 4 feet tall. So I think it's going to have a very emotional impact, and I can't wait to see it full sized.
Wow, that's going to be fabulous. And where will it be displayed?
It's going to be in our Art at the Pavilion, which is the big tented pavilion right across from our building. That's where all our featured artists are, as well as sculptors and painters. But I also am just really curious about seeing this giant bronze be moved in. It's not a small endeavor to bring this to the festival.
I'm sure it's not.
So there's that. Bart is an internationally acclaimed sculptor that we've been talking to for probably 4 years about being our featured artist, and he's worked with Jane Goodall. He's traveled the world. He's just, and his training is in biology. So that comes back to our conservation mission.
Wow.
So that's probably the really big highlight.
So exciting. And as you said briefly, given all that we've had to do or not do in the last year, having this is just, it's underscored and exclamation pointed.
I think it is. And I mentioned to you when we were chatting beforehand, I've been thinking a lot about sense of place, and the festival is a 50-year-old celebration of the Eastern Shore. It's I wish I could find the right words to describe the meaning of the event. I still struggle with that, even after being here for 6 years. But it's a unique Eastern Shore event. It's one of those things that you got to be there to understand it. You got to just immerse yourself in it to understand it.
Well, I think by and large that's true about Easton in general.
I would agree.
People don't know what's here, who's here, and what we have before us. It's remarkable, actually.
It is, and it's one of those special, almost inexplicable things about our area. So I love that the festival is that culmination. It's that fall culmination of heritage and art and artisans and what I call sense of place.
Oh, I totally agree. Tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally, and that sort of, how'd you end up here?
So I actually grew up in Annapolis.
Oh, okay.
And went off to college in New York, and somewhere in my college years got hooked up with ranches in northwestern Wyoming. I worked on dude ranches and in hunting camps as a hunting camp cook. Very little known facts. Now everyone knows.
Oh, wow.
For a couple of seasons out there, and falling in love brought me to the Eastern Shore. I only expected to stay for 6 months, and I just celebrated my 30th anniversary of living on the shore.
Wow.
So it's the sense of place. It's
Yeah.
back to what brought me here.
Absolutely.
But that you know, I have cousins that are from Western North Carolina. I have cousins that run a dairy farm in the Midwest. But I have a love of the environment. So I really have always walked that line between being a conservationist and recognizing that the people that work the land and treasure the waters are also some of the strongest conservation and environmentalists because they're connected to the land. So Waterfowl Festival is very much about that balance. It's celebrating our waterfowl hunting heritage while also recognizing the value of our landscapes. So my sort of personal history fits right in with what the organization does.
Very cool, very cool. And you're right, it really is about a sense of place in the community and the history and the power of it. Talk a little bit, given that this is a strange year still with COVID, what protocols are in place? What will you guys be requiring and all that sort of stuff? Sure,
we're calling it a game week decision. And so we're not making a formal announcement until Friday. It'll be on our website, which is waterfowlfestival.org. But what we have announced is what we think we're going to be doing. We did that in early October. And first of all, there'll be hand sanitizer everywhere. You know, we've pretty much bought out the market of hand sanitizer. And I should absolutely say thank you to the town of EASTON because we were part of their PPE funding, and they really came through and made it possible for us to get some of the supplies that we need in the quantities that we need. Little side note, I think sanitizer was $50 a gallon at its peak, and we were terrified that we were going to be at that price point now. So I'm glad it's much more reasonable. But anyway, so sanitizer everywhere. The guideline really is that if you're in a physical building, you need to be wearing a mask.
Okay.
Anywhere else outside, you know, if you're in any of our tented pavilions, that's not a physical building, we still recommend a mask if you want to, but you don't have to. And part of the reason for that physical building mandate is that all of our partner organizations that share space with us and that make this possible are still requiring masks indoors. So we use the schools, and you have to wear a mask if you're in the school. We trade with the AVALON Foundation. They use our space for plein air. We come here for Waterfowl Festival, the Academy Art Museum, Christchurch Easton, Midshore Community Foundation, and the Bullet House. So Waterfowl Festival is really about partnerships, because without partnerships, this event would never work, and without supporting all of those partnerships. So we made the decision that all our partners want to do that, and we still think it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So if you're in a physical building, be prepared to wear a mask.
I don't think there's a choice, actually. From all I've read and from people I've spoken with who are involved in disease control and all that, we have to. I mean, I said early on, when this all started, there was that controversy, I'm an American, I don't have to be told what to do. And
right.
I said, it's not a matter of civil rights, it's a matter of personal health.
Right.
Don't get me started on that. But,
yeah, that's what we're trying to stay sort of out of that, but it's almost, in this community, this is the behavior that people expect right now. And we've gotten a little pushback from guests that come from afar or from different areas, because wherever they're living, that's not what's happening. But we need to respect what our community expects of us.
Before we wrap up, anything new and unique you want to mention that you haven't?
Sure. So I talked about our featured art piece. We just put out a post yesterday about our 50th anniversary poster, which is by one of our veteran artists, Art LeMay. He's enormously popular, and I would say if you want to get a 50th anniversary poster, you better buy one soon, because they went like hotcakes the second we announced it yesterday.
Cool.
So it's really cool. It's a bunch of canvasback ducks that you look at from the back, and they're kind of looking over their shoulder at you, and it's called Looking Back, which is perfect for the 50th. I would encourage people to look for our Heritage Art Award winners. So the Heritage Art Contest is a contest for our painters. We will be announcing those on our opening night. We're doing opening ceremonies at the Tidewater Inn this year instead of the Avalon, so that's a little different. So we've got a little bit more space. And we're also going to be announcing our Conservation Grant Award winners for the year at opening ceremonies.
Wonderful.
The other, out at the Sportsman's Pavilion, we're going to have the diving dogs out there again, which we did in 2019.
Neat. Yeah.
You still need a ticket to be, part of that,
right.
to view that. But I should also mention that we have what's called the Champion of Champions Goose Calling Contest this year.
Oh, cool.
And that is, it doesn't qualify necessarily as new because it's something that only happens every 5 years. So hasn't happened in 5 years, happening this year, and it is literally a tournament of champions. And I know some people are not understanding or into duck or goose calling contests, but this is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
If you win the Champion of Champions goose calling position, title, whatever you want to call it, if you're the winner, you retire from competition. So you don't compete anymore because basically you are the creme de la creme and you have arrived and
so
that's
cool.
it.
So cool.
So Sportsman's Pavilion should be hopping. Downtown, I think, is going to be hopping. And at the Chesapeake Marketplace at the middle school, we have the Working Artists Forum out there this year because we wanted to bring in local artists. And we have fabulous artisans as well. And I guess my plug there and everywhere across the festival is, we all know that all of our holiday goods are sitting in ships somewhere in the Pacific, so I think it's better than ever to buy local and support artists this year.
I couldn't agree more for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
Well, it's always very exciting, and what you've done and what you're continuing to do is inspirational.
Thank you.
No, I'm not being gratuitous. It really is. It's one quick story. When I first came to EASTON, a friend of mine who lives, actually he's passed away, I did a lot of work with the Boy Scouts. He was a friend of mine from Boy Scouts, and he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Oh, I took this congregation in EASTON." He said, "Easton, Maryland?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Oh, I go there all the time. I love it. I go duck hunting and I go up for the Waterfowl Festival," and he knew about it. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. We're excited about the Waterfowl Festival, for your leadership.
Thank you.
You know what? You'll come back after the Waterfowl Festival and we'll talk about
conservation and what else we're doing.
And all the other stuff.
I'd love to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you.
And I should say one more thing. My version of leadership is lead by support and
Yes.
sort of being the vessel that holds everything, because we couldn't do this without the volunteers
Sure.
and the chairman. I mean, we have over 1,000 volunteers that make this, and sponsors and everyone else. So I just, it's not sexy, but I just get to be the glue.
I understand. No, that's part of the power of it as well. The more people that you can engage, the more successful it is.
That's what it feels like.
Who's the chairman?
The chairman for the festival is Kevin Graney this year.
Oh, nice, good.
So yeah,
good,
and he's sort of done many different jobs in the organization, so he knows what it's all about. So.
Well, Margaret, thank you very much for being
welcome.
at the Rabbis Roundtable. We will have you back to give us a report on how it went and
Happy
what was
to do
really
it.
cool. And thank you for your time.
Great, thanks for having me.
We will be back, EASTON, momentarily.
The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by EASTON Hardware and Floor Covering. Since 1939, we're still there and we still care.
We are MCTV, Midshore Community Television. We want your help in making our station more robust so that we can better serve the residents of Talbot County. So, how can you help? If you are already making video content, submit that content for broadcast to the station. It's free! Are you involved in events, shows, or lectures that would be of interest to the community? We can work with you to figure out the best way to capture those events for airing on MCTV, be it training, equipment rental, or hiring our production staff to film at a reasonable rate. Do you want to produce your own show? Let us help you get started. Come be a part of this valuable community resource. Email the station at nick@avalonfoundation.org or visit us in the basement of the historic Avalon Theater at 40 East Dover Street in downtown Easton.
And we are back, and welcome back to the Rabbis Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and as I said at the opening of the show, it's a great, really interesting program this morning. Not that they're not always interesting, but this is really interesting. My next guest is the Easton Town Planner, and I'm glad you're here, Lynn Thomas, Lynn is a native of the Eastern Shore. He's been the town planner for...
The town planner, about 10 years.
10 years.
With the town for a little over 30 years now.
God. You started when you were, what, 12, 13?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm really glad you're here because there's a lot to talk about. You are a graduate in geography and regional planning from Salisbury University.
Yes, sir.
And you got your master's from the University of Tennessee. That must have been a good experience.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I'm sure,
Yes.
I'm sure. And you've taught classes and taught others about applied planning and smart growth. And you've been an adjunct instructor in the geography department at Salisbury, so good for you. That's always exciting. So thank you again for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. Let's get going. A couple of questions, basic, broad questions. What is a comprehensive plan, and why is it important?
So I like to say that a comprehensive plan is essentially like a roadmap or a blueprint for a community, especially with regard to land use. So when comprehensive plans first became a thing, if you will, for communities, they've been around since really the 1920s or so. They primarily initially focused on land use, but of course land use encompasses so much more than that. Like our transportation system influences the way that land is used. So they include recommendations on transportation, for example. And it will include other issues related to land use, growth and development, all those sorts of things.
I would imagine that growth and development is probably one of your biggest challenges, and not challenges negative, but just the fact that as a growing community, these
Right.
things, how to balance the environment with the notion of growth and keeping everything.
Absolutely.
That's got to be tough.
There's a lot of concerns to weigh, and I think it's true. You know, EASTON has for a while been a relatively steadily growing community. Even communities where that's not the case, they certainly have issues as well. If you're not a growing community, even if your goal is to just kind of stay where you are, that requires specific strategies as well.
Very, very interesting. That's as I was thinking about this. Most of us don't ever really think about what you do on such a daily basis in terms of the harmony and balance and the protection of the community,
Right.
and the protection of the environment. I mean, that's really challenging. When was the last time that the EASTON plan was updated?
So our current plan was adopted in 2010. And at the time that it was adopted, the state of Maryland required plans to be updated every 6 years. Since then, we're not 5 years late. Since then, the state changed the law in terms of the interval with which plans needed to be updated to be once every 10 years. And the purpose of that was so that plan updates would coincide with the release of census data.
Oh, okay.
And now so census data is just now starting to come out, and it'll trickle out over a few years, so we're not actually required to have the next update completed until 2023, and then it'll be every 10 years thereafter, unless they change something again.
It's always possible. What's the process behind this? I mean, it's got to be demanding.
So technically the only requirement is that the Planning Commission needs to comprehensively review the current plan and determine what, if any, changes need to be made to it. Certainly after 10 years, if nothing else, we need to bring the data up to date. And then the only actual requirement is to hold your typical traditional public hearing at the Planning Commission level and forward something to the Town Council. We discovered several iterations ago, going back to the mid-1990s, that really that's not the most appropriate and effective way to plan for the future of your community. That a much more sensible approach, one that gets the community involved and supportive of the plan, is one in which the community is actually functioning essentially as co-authors of the plan by bringing them into the process and coming up with really hopefully creative ways to elicit public input early and often throughout the process. So that's what we've tried to do with the last 3 comprehensive plan updates, and we anticipate doing that again with this one.
Sure, because it makes people feel engaged and like their voice is heard, at least on some level.
Right.
And that way you can hear what's important to them, whether it's, you know, personal and or broader, is irrespective of that, actually. But that's important.
Right.
Thank you.
It's clearly it's better to know that early in the process than after.
Oh, yeah.
And be placed in more of a reactive situation.
Yeah, always. Yeah. And if people want to get in touch and share their opinions and their thoughts, is there a form and a way to do it besides the?
Yes, so a little bit of this is still being formulated this time around, but we anticipate a number of opportunities for the public to be involved. The first one is actually available now. We have posted a survey. We are planning to do a series of surveys. The first one is available now on the Town of Easton's website. It focuses on just the general, bigger picture, kind of overarching issues related to planning and growth and development in general. And then we think, based on the input from that survey and some of the other opportunities for public input, we will identify specific topic areas on which we'll develop more detailed surveys to follow up. And we encourage the public to take as many or as few of the surveys as they're interested in taking.
What's the biggest challenge that you face? You know, in your professional life. I'm not talking about other things, but I mean, what's the challenge with all of this? Is it balance?
Balance is a good word to describe. Both in terms of the long-range plan, balancing the need to protect the environment with the need to accommodate growth, and all of that balanced against a desire, I think, that has been expressed by the community for a number of years, that whatever level of growth people are comfortable with, that it be of a quality that is appropriate for Easton. We've set and it goes long before there was any professional planners involved, thankfully. We had some wise community leaders that imposed, if that's the right word, some relatively high standards for the types of development that we have in Easton, and we're trying to maintain that as we go forward.
I think that's really important. As somebody who moved here, it's now 15, 16 years, but I love it. And part of what I love is the balance between the environment and the sophistication of the area and that sort of thing. And I appreciate all you do and what the town does and the county does for us. It's really cool, actually. If people want to follow the progress and keep updated, is there a way to do that?
Sure. And again, this is something we can develop a little more as we get further into the process. We're right at the beginning of this current update, but for the time being, folks can visit the town's website, which is EastonMD, as in Easton, Maryland, .gov. And we hope to make it more readily apparent where you go for comprehensive plan information on our website. But for the time being, if you go to the town's website and go to the planning and zoning page, which you can find through the departments tab, all the current information, including the opportunity to take that survey, that first survey, is available now. And then as we progress and have other opportunities, they will be included there as well.
Cool. Well, there's lots to find out. There's lots to learn about, and
always.
I'm very grateful that you took the time to be with us. I'll have you back.
Be glad to do it.
No, I just think getting out this information is really important and helps us as citizens in the community, not only for you to achieve your goals, but for us to realize who we are in the context of the community. We've been talking to Lynn Thomas Jr., who is the town planner, Easton town planner. We thank you for all the work you've done. You've been obviously successful, and
well, thank you.
We will continue to encourage your success as the town grows and develops and becomes the gem that it is.
Thank you.
So thank you for all your work.
I appreciate that. I will accept your thanks on behalf of all of the town staff and our planning commission and town council. We're all kind of partners.
Oh, I
in this.
know, and I feel it, and I'm not being gratuitous. I really think it's a cool thing and a wonderful place, and we thank you for your leadership. And you will come back.
Would love to.
I'll make sure of it. And we will be back in a moment, Easton.
I got the shot, man, because I believe in the science.
I got vaccinated so I could hug my 5 kids and 14 grandkids.
We all got vaccinated
because we want to see you back in the theater.
Well, as a survivor of COVID, I really did it for other people.
I've also had the virus. I do not want it again.
We got COVID, and then they sent me to Johns Hopkins. Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing anyone could ever go through.
I genuinely feel like it's my patriotic duty to get vaccinated.
Do it for your state, do it for your country, do it for you.
I talked to my friends and family in India and Pakistan, and they don't have that access whatsoever.
I'm tired of Zoom. You're tired of Zoom.
It's my turn to take a chance.
Take advantage of that privilege.
Get the vaccine, please, for me, for your family.
And I got it because of what she said.
And we are back. And my third and final guest for this morning is Holly Dekarsky. Holly is the director of town planning?
Downtown development.
Downtown development. I should know this. I'll get it right someday. It's okay. For the Easton Economic Development Corporation, the EEDC, which I think is a very cool, as you know, I think it's very cool. Natalie and Tracy and the gang. It's very, very dynamic and visionary. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I just want to go over a couple of things, let people know what's coming up. And so my first question is, what events are coming up in the town of Easton?
All right, well, the big one is next week, obviously, Waterfowl.
Yes,
so
we talked about that.
That's the 12th through the 14th, but also during that weekend, Tidewater Inn is going to bring back their brew and oyster brawl.
Yeah.
So that's on the 13th, so that returns from its COVID hiatus from last year.
Yeah.
The next big day is obviously November 27th, and that is Shop Small, and we need to focus on shopping small and supporting our local businesses and supporting people who are here. They are well stocked. Their shelves are full.
I have to tell you, my parents had a jewelry store. My father was a gemologist and a watchmaker, but it was a small, much like Shearer the Jewelers, actually, same kind of store. And this kind of thing and this kind of advertising is so important to our businesses, and it makes a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, doing this and being supportive of this is a responsibility that we have as a community.
Absolutely. I mean, these people are your neighbors.
Yep.
They coach your kids, they teach they're a part of our community, and you're going to get a level of customer service that you're never going to find at the mall or at Target or something like that. It's just not the same thing. So
you don't know how true that is.
Oh, I do.
I was underscoring it. That was the thing at my father's store. He said customer service outweighs everything else.
Yep. That's what you're actually selling.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is exactly correct. He said people have a choice. When somebody opens that door, it doesn't matter who they are, what they are, where they're from. They had a choice. You treat them respectfully and communicate a sense of appreciation.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and that continues. Obviously, Shop Small Saturday is an annual thing. It's always the Saturday after Black Friday, but all year long you should shop small, and particularly through the rest of the year. So just plug it again. The Friends of the Talbot Hospice will have their Festival of Trees November 27th. That's at the Tidewater Inn, and then there's also carols by candlelight that night.
Oh,
cool. Then everyone is anxiously awaiting the Easton Holiday Parade returns. That's December 4th.
Good. All right. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So 6 p.m. the tree will be lit in Thompson Park, and then at 6:30 the parade will kick off. It is if you're familiar with the route from the last couple of years, it will be similar.
Can anybody participate?
Yeah, so sign-ups are limited, and we are getting very, very low on spaces. But yes, anyone can participate, a business or a nonprofit. If you go to eastonedc.com and you go to our downtown page, you can find the sign-up form for it. But again, we are down to our final spaces.
But that's really encouraging that people are that's almost sold out. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
And then. If anyone recalls last year, Talbot Interfaith Shelter and the Hummingbird Inn partnered to do Home for the Holidays.
Right.
It will run again this year in December. It's 3 weekends before Christmas, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they'll have luminaries out in the street. They'll have a lit-up yard. Most of it's all just a suggested donation. They will also have carriage rides available. They're short, like 15-minute rides. It'll take you downtown during the evening so you can see the lights.
Those are so cool.
I know. So it'll be cool. So that's the first 3 weekends. And then planning is happening for First Night Talbot. They are planning for both virtual and in person. They're still watching the COVID situation, so we'll see what's going to happen.
Everybody is, as we've been just saying.
A crab's going to drop either way. That's, I think, what everyone cares about, what's most important, right? So that's going to happen. And then the other question we've been getting a lot of, but as we go into 2022, Chesapeake Fire and Ice will return.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so it'll be President's Day weekend, which is the 18th through the 21st. We do have our sponsorship package ready, and if anyone wants to contact us at the EDC, we can give out the sponsorship information for that for businesses and nonprofits and anyone to participate. But yeah, we're starting the planning for that.
Do you want people to call, or is it easier to go online, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
They can talk to us in any way they want.
That's fine, just as long as they talk. I understand that.
No, we will have the actual listing sponsorships out on the website soon, but again, we can customize any package for however somebody wants to be incorporated. Fire and Ice is a really good event for community groups to come and be involved, and for businesses to be involved. It's a partnering community event, so it's one of those things that we can craft certain things for them to make them, feel more a part of it and be able to give back to the community.
When did Fire and Ice start? Do you remember?
2020 was the first year, and I know it sounds really hard, but it was the last event before the world shut down.
Yeah.
So, it's good that it's going to come back, and the fire department will also be hosting their Stews and Brews on the Saturday of that event. So, yeah, you want to get your tickets to that. So that would be good. And they are looking for local restaurants that want to participate in that event. They need about a dozen. So they can reach out to us, or they can reach out directly to the fire department.
Well, as I said, the EEDC, the Eastern Economic Development Corporation, you guys do an incredible job for us, and it's really inspirational what goes on in Easton, and we are fortunate to be a part of the community and have you guys contribute. No, I say that seriously. It's for what I do, as a member of the clergy, I see the perspective of the community, and sometimes from a different perspective. But I see the impact that you have, and it's remarkable, and it adds to the strength and to the power of our community.
Oh, absolutely.
In such a positive and constructive way. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? Any information? Any contact information? But Nick can put that up if we need to anyway. But there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and I think it's going to continue into next year. This was sort of our first year to get back out of COVID, I think, and then next year that I think we should be back to normal. Maybe.
Well,
we'll see. I think there'll be more events.
I think people are just excited to get back out of COVID. I know the first time that we had people back in the sanctuary for services, people cried. They were so happy to be back. There were tears of joy.
It's normal life.
Yeah.
And see people again. Yeah, it's great.
And it was so disruptive and so out of the ordinary not to have that kind of engagement and connection. So this is terrific. As I said, you guys at the Easton Economic Development Corporation do a great job, and we are fortunate for your leadership. And you'll come back as well.
Sure, I love coming.
Good, I'll make
It's
sure.
fun.
That works for me. Anything else you need to share with us at the moment?
No, if you visit the EastonEDC.com website, you can find links to any event, even if it's one we don't put on, so you can get more information. Like if you need info for Waterfowl and you can't remember the website, it's there.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for being here. You will be back, Holly. I appreciate it. And Easton, it's been a really interesting and good Rabbis Roundtable. This is November 2nd, and we are anticipating Thanksgiving and the holidays. I wish everybody a happy, healthy Thanksgiving, and that the holidays be bright with light of joy, love, family, and community. And we will see you next time on the Rabbis Roundtable.